Hello and welcome back to Snips Adventure, and today we're going to be talking about something I love. As you could tell, I like books, and as you could also tell, I like Star Wars, so to no one's surprise, I love Star Wars books. And something that I see a lot, sometimes I get asked, is where to start with Star Wars books, because there is a lot. So I'm going to go over some different options and avenues you can go down, and hopefully this can help you decide where you want to go, because Star Wars books are literally some of my favorite part of that huge franchise, and it adds so much to it. You're going to have some gems, you're going to have some not so good books, you're going to have some medium books, but hey, isn't that like everything? So I'm going to go over some different options, so let's get to it. So before I go into different things that you could read, I do just want to clear up some things about canon and legend. So if you're not aware, when Disney bought Star Wars, everything that was Lucasfilm, like Star Wars Lucasfilm before, became Legends, and all the new stuff after Disney bought Star Wars is considered canon. So that is currently what's going on in the universe. I have not read a lot of Legends, warning. So I know this might be skewed some way. I did read a little, good chunk of it, but just wanted to let you guys know that. Also, there's a lot of people who love the Legends books. They're a little more darker and all that stuff, but I really love the canon novels. I don't think people should disregard them. So just wanted to get that out of the way. So let's go into our options on how to read now. Alrighty, so for option one, I'm going to do comic books and manga for people who don't really love to read. You want to get more into Star Wars, but you're not really feeling novels. I think this is a great place to start. So I just read this last month. It's the first volume of Path of the Lightsaber by Kenny Ruiz, and it was amazing. So this is a completely original story. It kind of dives into every single time period. It's taken place after The Last Jedi, I believe, but it talks about the Empire a lot. It talks about the High Republic era even, but you don't really need to know the High Republic to read this. So this is only volume 1, and they haven't even announced volume 2 yet, and if they don't, I will actually be heartbroken, because this was one of the best things I've read this year so far. And then they also do some retellings with the manga. So they have Rebels, they had Mandalorian, I know that, and a few of the books they turned into mangas, so you could do that if you want. They also have Journal of the Wills, so if you're a big fan of Rogue One and are a fan of Chirrut and Blaze, that's his name, right? This was a fun read as well, so I think these are a great place to start if you're not really looking for the novel part. And the same thing with comic books. So if you don't want to start a series and you love the Clone Wars and you love Darth Maul, first 2 episodes were insane. They were so good of Maul Shadow Lord. Definitely recommend Maul, Son of Dathomir. And this was supposed to be a Clone Wars arc before the Clone Wars got canceled after season 6. So this was supposed to take place and it just never did. So they allowed them to turn it into a comic book, and it literally feels like you are reading episodes of the Clone Wars. It's so good. I completely recommend it. So yeah, so this is a good standalone. Also, the Galaxy's Edge one is pretty good. There's a new one about the Jedi. I haven't read that yet, but that's a standalone as well. So if you want a standalone, and then if you're interested in the High Republic, you can get all the High Republic ones. This is the first one for phase 1. And if you read the novels, it definitely adds to it, but I believe I know you can read the comic books, but by themselves without reading the novels, but the novels are going to add more to it. And then, warning, I have not read either of these. These are the 2 different Vader series, but I've heard nothing but good things about the Vader comics, and these are ongoing series, so there's quite a lot of volumes. So this is the Charles Soule one, I know that. This is volume 1, and there's also this Darth Vader one. So I've heard great things about both of these, and I mean, Vader is an iconic character, so that's a great place to start. So if you're not really ready to read novels yet, but you still want more of the Star Wars universe, I definitely recommend the comics and the manga. Option 2 is the route that I went, and this is just choosing a character or location, time period that you love. So I'm going to go into some different characters, some different time periods of great starting points. This is going to be my longest section. I'm just going to pick up a book and go with it. So number 1, is Master of Evil by Adam Christopher. This was sent to me by Penguin Random House. Thank you so much, Random House World. They're the people who publish most of the Star Wars novels. This is about Vader. This one has some mixed reviews because Vader is not really the main character. It follows someone else who is following Darth Vader because like the Empire has a few questions about him. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it gave really good insights to Vader. This is like right after Revenge of the Sith. So like not a lot of people know of Vader's existence yet. So if you're a Darth Vader fan, I definitely recommend picking this up. This is one of the newest releases, so it's a new book. So Vader fans, I would say this. Next up is, this was actually one of my first Star Wars books, and I simply ordered it because I loved Kanan and Hera. I love Rebels, and that is A New Dawn. This is actually how Kanan and Hera met. So if you're a big Rebels fan, you're getting more into Star Wars, definitely recommend A New Dawn by John Jackson Miller. This one might even be signed. It is. I met him near Comic-Con. So definitely recommend this one. And there's also an Ahsoka book. I did not bring it down. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but if you do love Ahsoka, that was also one of my first books because just an Ahsoka fan. It goes right after Order 66, I believe, and her surviving that. So that was pretty cool. And then if you're a fan of Clone Wars, and this is the same thing of the Maul, Son of Dathomir comic, Quinlan Vos and Asajj Ventress were supposed to get their own arc in Clone Wars, and because it got canceled, it never happened. So once again, allowed them to write a book about it. And this is Dark Disciple, and this is one of mine and considered a lot of people's favorite Star Wars novel. It is so good. Literally feels like you're reading a Clone Wars arc. I cannot recommend this book enough. I think this is a great starting place if you're a Clone Wars fan. Like, this is not necessarily, because it will make you grow to love these characters. I love Ventress already. Quinlan was cool, but even if you're like kind of cool with both of them, you're gonna love them by the end of this book. This book is so good. So this is one that I highly, highly recommend to start with. Okay, next up is, this is actually my first Star Wars book, Black Spire, and I'm throwing in A Crash of Fate, which is a YA book as well. I am a huge theme park person. I love the theme parks. Disney, Universal, Six Flags, all of it. I love it. And it was 2020, February, I went to Galaxy's Edge for the first time, and I was doing research on it, and I found out there was a book that gave the whole backstory of the two. And they even have, she walks around Galaxy's Edge. I believe that she's leaving the one in California, which is very sad. I've never been to that one, but I've talked to her a few times at the one in Orlando. And this just gives you the whole history. It tells you about Oga's Cantina. It tells you about the Wishing Tree. It goes really in depth of Sabi's workshop and all that, in the Resistance base where you go on Rise of the Resistance. So if you are a huge theme park fan and you want to know more about Galaxy's Edge and that whole world, I recommend this book. It truly opened up the whole way into this whole universe, and I didn't really look up where to start with Star Wars book until after I finished with this one because I knew I wanted this one to be my first one. So if you're a huge theme park fan, if you've been to Batuu before and you're just curious about the land, recommend this one. And then this is just a cute YA story about two people, Izzy and Jules, I think. They grew up being friends, and it's like a little romance story. It's cute, but if you're a fan of Galaxy's Edge, definitely recommend this one, and it's a great entry point. Now, once again, we're back into the TV shows. If you are a fan of Andor, this has been a lot of people's first Star Wars read just because the second book is coming out in September. It's, I don't remember what it's called, but the second book in the Mask of the Fear series, and this is the first one. This one is called Reign of the Empire. So the second one is a year before Andor. This is a couple years before Andor. And I have the special edition of it because it's so cool. And if you were an Andor fan, you would love this book. It's very much the more politics side, and I'm not a big politics person. I much more enjoy like the sci-fi fantasy adventures, but I still really enjoyed this one. It's not my favorite as it is for a lot of people, but if you are interested in Andor, I can basically guarantee you're gonna love this book. So if you are a fan of Andor, start with this one. Alrighty. we still have a lot to go. Master and Apprentice, about Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. So if you wish you had more Qui-Gon in your life, because they really did cut him short, I'll tell you that. Read this one. It says how they started off, how Obi-Wan became Qui-Gon's apprentice. Just overall, a really, really good story. I believe this one is signed too. Oh no, this is not my signed copy. But yeah, this is a great book. And then, simple start way is you can even just start with the novelizations. Revenge of the Sith is everyone's favorite. It adds a lot to the story, but this way you're a little more comfortable. You already know the story. So if you're not really into reading, but you want to get more into it, novelizations could be a great start. And then this one, I wasn't sure, because what I wanted to do with this section was really make sure that you can read these one off. You didn't have to read anything before. You don't have to read anything after. They're kind of their own thing. Like, you can understand them by that. But this book is the start of a trilogy. Many people consider this one also the best Star Wars book ever, and I'm inclined to agree. So if you're willing to start a series, it's 3 books in this one and 3 in the ones I'm going to show next when it talks more about the series. Thrawn. So I watched Rebels, did not get the Thrawn hype. He was cool. I cannot believe I'm saying this out loud, because he is now one of my favorite characters. However, I read this book, and I understand the Thrawn hype. This book is amazing. Timothy Zahn is now my favorite author of all time. I love this book so very much. This one is signed. So I have to recommend the Thrawn book. It basically says how he got into the Empire, more about his people. There is a side character named Eli Vanto who everyone loves. He's part of the Empire, but he's like, doesn't really know why, but so good. So these are all the canon books. As you can see, that's what I mainly own. And a lot of the Legends books connect or are not just one off. So I found a couple. I am like 5 chapters away from being done with the Kenobi book, and I really enjoy it. Like, it's really good. I've been putting this one off for a while, but I'm finally reading it and I'm really loving it. The audiobook for it is good. I will say that Kenobi is not involved as you would think. It's either like the year of or like a year after he sent Luke to live on Tatooine. So this is him getting used to the living on Tatooine. And it follows mainly like other people, but he always like pops up and kind of saves the day. But it's really good. And then on the Darth Maul theme, because Shadow Lord is coming out, this might have been my first Legends book. I think it was. Not really sure. But Darth Maul Shadow Hunter, once again, you don't need anything prior knowledge to read it. And it was pretty good. If you're a fan of Maul, you'll like this one. And then we have Yoda, and this one is amazing. I really, really enjoyed it. If you're a fan of Yoda, if you just want more info on Yoda, I cannot recommend this one enough. My friend got this one signed for me and sent it to me, which I think is so sweet. But I thought this was a great entryway into Legends, and it was so interesting, especially like the last 100 pages of this book. Did not want to put it down. It was so good. So, I promise you the other sections are going to be a lot later than this, but that's all my recommendations of where you could start if you like a certain character. I think I covered a lot of the bases, so I hope this helps. Option 3 is for those readers who always loved reading, and maybe they didn't know Star Wars books existed, were a little scared to start with Star Wars, just became a Star Wars fan, any of that thing, but you love to read and you're willing to start a long series. This is where I would go. So with the Thrawn book, there is a trilogy, and that is called the Imperial Thrawn Trilogy. So that is Thrawn Alliances, and Thrawn Treason. So those are the 3. And then we have this prequel series, which this is my favorite book of all time, Thrawn Ascendancy. And these are all canon. And this is a trilogy, and it goes before Thrawn. So this is Thrawn in the Chiss Ascendancy in his homeworld, Admiral Arlani, who is my favorite book character ever. She is heavily featured in this one. So that's why I was hesitant to put Thrawn in the last section, because it does kind of open up a can of worms, but you can get like away with just reading the first 3. But if you want the whole Thrawn universe, if you want the whole Chiss universe, which you're going to want to, read those 3 first and then read these 3, and they are so good. And I hope they come out with more, because the publishers gotta know how much we love this. Next up would be the High Republic. So this is number 1, Light of the Jedi. And so the High Republic is a great starting point. This is thousands of years before The Phantom Menace, and this is kind of the Jedi in their prime. And this follows 3 phases. There's like at least 9 adult books, a whole ton of YA books, middle grade books. You can pick and choose what you want to read. Like if you only want to read the adult books, but the YA books are so good. Definitely recommend. Middle grade, I will just say, like, this is a great starting point, and if you're willing to start a huge series, also great. I will say phase 1, loved it. Phase 2, pretty good. I really enjoyed it. Phase 3 was I think they either rushed it or I wasn't in love with it. So it kind of does go downhill. I think the beginning was the strongest part of the High Republic, but it's still amazing, and I think it is a great, great, great entry point. Hey, I'm editing the video and I realized I forgot the X-Wing series. This is a 10-book series. Don't need to read anything before it to know what's going on. All legends. I've heard great things about it. Haven't read it yet, but that's also a series you can do if you want the commitment. Next up, I do want to go back to Thrawn, and this is Legends. I believe this is the first Star Wars book ever made. Heir to the Empire by Timothy Zahn. So this takes place right after Return of the Jedi, and what happens? Palpatine's dead. There's clones. You meet Mara Jade, I believe in this book, but in this series, that's when you meet her. And Heir to the Empire is kind of opening up the can of worms into Legends. It's mainly follows like all of Timothy Zahn's books and Legends. You need to read this trilogy first before you understand any of that. So it is a great entry point. Many people also consider this the best Star Wars book of all time, but a great entry point. And then I have Aftermath. So Aftermath is the first in the Aftermath trilogy, but this book opens up, I want to say like 2019, 2018 era Star Wars books. All of them are like interconnected. So I would start with this one, Princess Leia, that one. So once you read this, then you can understand books like Bloodline and then Resistance Reborn. I would read Bloodline first, then Resistance Reborn. Even a book I'm about to talk about, Lost Stars, is kind of connected, but not as insane. Just like little drawbacks. But if you really want to enjoy that era of books, I would recommend starting with this one because it opens up that can of worms. And technically you could read all these books individually, all these trilogies individually, but you are going to enjoy it way more if you read them in a certain order because it makes sense. Like even like the Battlefront games are mentioned and there's books for those, but I recommend starting with the Aftermath trilogy and then you can go into all those other books I was talking about, but it does open up a can of worms, but it's a good can of worms. And for our last option, I am going with what to recommend you based on different genres that you love. So as you can imagine, I don't have too many books for this because majority of Star Wars books are sci-fi, fantasy, adventure, that type. So these are just a few that could work if you do like that. So if you're a horror fan, I have not read this yet, but it's many people's like yearly Halloween read is Death Troopers. It is a Legends book. I've heard good things about it. You can even just tell by the cover. So if you're a fan of that, they also marketed Master of Evil as a gothic horror book, but I don't really like that, and I was fine reading the book, so I don't know if you're someone who's used to that genre, if you're really gonna feel that, because as someone who's not used to it, I didn't even feel it. But yeah, so if you're a horror fan, I would recommend this. And then last but not least, one of, if not, other than like Chaos Rising, the Thrawn books, this might be my favorite Star Wars book. It is so good. I think this book can get anyone into reading Star Wars. And this is Lost Stars by Claudia Gray. And this is like a romance subplot. But even if you're not a romance person, a lot of people I talk to love this book. And as a romance person, it makes me love the book even more. It is about two, Thane and Sienna. They grew up, best friends, join the Empire. One of them deflects and joins the rebellion. It's kind of like the star-crossed lovers like vibe. And the only thing I would warn you is you're going to want book 2 after this. But this book has been out since 2017 and there is no book 2. I have never seen so many people want a book 2 as much as this. So if you're watching Random House Worlds, Lucasfilm, Disney, I'm sure you're definitely watching. Please give us Lost Art 2 and also Path of the Lightsaber 2. That manga was so good, but this book, man, this book is, it's just like star-crossed lovers, the rebellion, the empire, them working against each other, the meeting up again. It's so good. So yeah, there you have it. You should see the pile of books I have on the floor next to me. But if you have any more questions, please, please, please just leave them in the comments. DM me on Instagram over at Admiral Reads. That is my Star Wars book account page. And then I also make Star Wars art and other fandoms, but since it's a Star Wars video, and I mainly make Star Wars art over at snipsandco_. If you're in New Jersey, I do a few local New Jersey Comic Cons. Please message me about those, or I'll be at Fan Expo Boston in August. So hopefully this helped. Gave you guys a wide range of picking which book you want to start with. And once again, this is literally just like a little percent of Star Wars books that are out there. So I just hoped I touched a little bit on everyone's liking. So with that, thank you so much. Drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and thank you again. And see you next time on Snip's Adventure.